Chosen ones, a knock is coming. Your life won't be the same after this. Stop for a moment. Don't scroll. Chosen one. There are moments in life when something unseen draws your attention. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. This is one of those moments. You didn't arrive here randomly. You didn't stay by accident. Something in you recognized timing. And God says, a knock is coming. And once you hear it, your life will not return to what it was. This is not a threat. This is not fear-based. This is preparation. Why this message found you. Now you have listened to many messages before. You've heard encouragement. You've heard warnings. You've heard promises. But this one feels different. Because this one didn't excite you first. It stilled you. Something inside you paused. God says, when the heart pauses, it is because truth is approaching. You may not even fully understand why you stayed. But deep inside, you know this moment matters. You didn't come looking for answers. You came because something in you is ready for change. This is not about a physical door. Only when God speaks of a knock, He is not limited to wood and hinges. For some, yes, it will be literal. A call, a message, a meeting, an unexpected invitation. But for many, the knock will arrive as a decision you can no longer avoid, a truth that surfaces suddenly, an opportunity you didn't chase, a conversation you didn't plan, a shift you didn't schedule. God says, the knock represents access, and access always changes direction. Why your life cannot stay the same. Some changes adjust circumstances. This one reshapes identity. God says, what I am bringing cannot coexist with the version of you that learned how to survive. That's why you've been feeling restless. Why familiar routines feel empty. Why comfort no longer satisfies. You tried to convince yourself it was nothing. You told yourself, I'm just tired. But God says, you are not tired. You are being repositioned. The season you are coming out of. Let's talk about the season behind you. It was quiet, heavy, slow. You didn't receive much reassurance. You didn't get clear signs. You didn't feel celebrated. But you stayed. You learned to keep going without applause, to believe without emotion, to pray without confirmation. God says, this season trained your endurance, not your excitement, and endurance is required for what's coming. Why the knock did not come earlier? You asked before, why now? Why not back then? God answers, because earlier you would have answered from desperation instead of discernment. Earlier, you wanted escape. Now, you want alignment. Earlier, you would have rushed. Now, you're ready to respond wisely. Delay wasn't punishment. Delay was protection. The inner shift you couldn't explain. Before the knock arrives outwardly, it happens inwardly. You noticed it. Old desires fading. Familiar distractions losing power. A quiet dissatisfaction growing. A longing you couldn't name. God says, I shift the inside before I change the outside. You were being prepared to recognize the knock, so you wouldn't miss it. This knock is not small. This is not a gentle tap. This is not a suggestion. This is a moment that divides timelines. God says, once this door opens, there is no return to unconscious living. You will see differently. Decide differently, move differently. Not because everything becomes easy, but because direction becomes clear. Why fear is present. You might already feel it, not panic, not dread, but wait, and you wonder, if this is from God, why does it feel serious? God says, because what is coming carries responsibility, not just relief. Every real door carries weight. Every divine opportunity demands growth. This knock is not asking, do you want comfort? It is asking, Are you ready to become who you prayed to be? You have felt this coming. This isn't sudden. You sensed it when old solutions stopped working, when advice didn't help anymore, when motivation faded but awareness increased. You tried to return to normal. But God says, normal expired when you became aware. What most people do at this point, this is where many turn back, not because they don't believe, but because they prefer familiarity. They delay, they distract, they settle. But chosen ones respond, even unsure, even nervous, even without full clarity. God says, movement matters more than certainty. Chosen ones. A knock is coming. Why resistance increased and what this door is truly connected to stay with this moment. Chosen one. There is a reason this part comes now, not to overwhelm you, not to pressure you, but to help you understand something you've been feeling but couldn't fully explain. Because understanding removes fear, and God says, when you understand the season, you stop fighting the process. Why everything became heavier before the knock. Let's talk honestly. Just when you thought you had adjusted to life, just when you learned how to function with less hope, just when you told yourself, this is probably how it's going to be, things intensified, pressure increased, delays stretched longer, resistance showed up in new ways, and you wondered, why does it feel harder now? Why didn't things ease once I accepted it? God says, because acceptance was not the end, it was the signal. The moment you stopped fighting reality and started outgrowing it internally, movement began, and movement always creates friction. Resistance is a response, not a warning. Many people believe resistance means something is wrong, but God says, resistance appears when stagnation is threatened. When you were simply surviving, nothing pushed back. When you were emotionally numb, nothing reacted. When you were settling quietly, nothing interfered. But the moment your spirit decided, I can't stay here forever, pressure showed up. That pressure was not sent to destroy you. It was allowed to test your readiness. What you were really being prepared for this door is not about relief. Relief is temporary. Comfort fades quickly. God says, this door is about alignment. Alignment with purpose. Alignment with direction. Alignment with the version of you that was always meant to emerge. That's why distractions stopped working. That's why motivation felt inconsistent. That's why old goals no longer excited you. You weren't losing passion. You were being redirected. Why God did not explain everything in advance. You asked for clarity. You asked for signs. You asked for confirmation. And heaven felt quiet. But God says, silence was not absence. It was restraint. If you had known who the door was connected to, you might have forced access. If you had known what the door required, you might have disqualified yourself. If you had known how much responsibility it carried, fear might have stopped you early. So, God let you grow without full explanation. Because some doors require trust before understanding. The door is connected to your future, not your past. This is critical to understand. God is not reopening wounds. He is not revisiting old pain. He is not testing how much you can endure. God says, I am not calling you backward. I am calling you forward. That's why the knock doesn't feel nostalgic. It feels serious. It feels unfamiliar. It feels weighty, because the door leads somewhere you haven't been before. Why certain people faded away. This part hurt more than you expected. Connections changed. Support decreased. Some people grew distant without explanation, and you questioned yourself. But God says, I separated what could not survive, where you're going. Not everyone who walked with you was meant to walk through this door. Some were assigned to your healing, some to your survival, some to your waiting. But very few are assigned to your becoming. What you cannot carry through this door. Every door has limits you cannot bring. Old fears, old identities, old coping habits, old versions of yourself, old excuses. God says, what protected you before will restrict you next. You learned to stay quiet to survive. You learned to lower expectations. You learned to move cautiously. That wisdom mattered, but its season is ending. Why you've been feeling internally alert? Have you noticed it? Your spirit feels watchful. Your mind feels more aware. Your tolerance for distractions is lower. You're not restless. You're attentive. God says, I awaken awareness before I open doors. So when the knock comes, you recognize it. You don't dismiss it. You don't miss it. You don't delay it. This door will require a response. This is not a passive moment. God is not asking for excitement. He's not asking for perfection. He's not asking for confidence. He's asking for honesty. Honesty about what you want. Honesty about what you fear. Honesty about what you're ready to release. God says, doors open for the willing, not the fearless. What happens if you delay? This is not a threat. It's truth. God honors choice. But God says, delayed obedience changes the experience of blessing. The door does not vanish, but ease does. Flow becomes effort. Clarity becomes confusion. Peace becomes negotiation. Not punishment, consequence. Why exhaustion tried to take you out first? There is a reason fatigue increased. The enemy doesn't attack beginnings. He attacks transitions. Because tired people miss moments. Distracted people ignore knocks. Discouraged people delay decisions. But you're still here. And God says, you did not quit because I sustained you. This is the dividing point right now. Two paths exist. One where you answer, one where you hesitate. Both continue, but only one transforms. God says, I am not forcing the door. I am offering it. And offers always require response. Pause here. Chosen ones, a knock is coming. What happens when you answer, and why life can never go back. This is the moment of response. Chosen one. Everything you've read so far has been preparation, not for emotion, not for excitement, for response. Because a knock is never the end of a process. It is the beginning of responsibility. And God says, what happens next depends on how you respond, not on how loud the knock is. What happens the moment you answer? Let's remove confusion. When you answer the knock, the world does not instantly change. Circumstances don't magically rearrange themselves overnight. Problems don't disappear immediately, but something far more important happens first. Alignment begins. God says, the moment you respond, heaven begins rearranging what you could not. Things shift quietly at first. Conversations start aligning. Timing begins adjusting. Resistance loses momentum. Clarity replaces confusion. Not loudly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Why things begin to move after long stillness. You waited a long time. You wondered if anything was happening at all. But God says, movement was already prepared. It was waiting on your yes. Some breakthroughs are not delayed by God. They are paused by indecision. The moment you answer, delays loosen, paths reveal themselves, support shows up unexpectedly. Doors connect to other doors, not because you forced anything, but because alignment was activated. The first 24 hours after the knock. This part matters more than you think. The first response sets the tone. God says, do not rush to explain. Listen. After the knock, pay attention to what feels heavy. Notice what brings peace. Observe what suddenly irritates you. Watch what you feel drawn toward. This is discernment sharpening. Do not overthink. Do not overtalk. Do not overshare. Let clarity settle before action accelerates. Why fear loses its authority. Fear may still speak, but it no longer leads. God says fear can speak, but it cannot decide once alignment is chosen. Before, fear controlled timing. Before, fear delayed movement. Before, fear shaped identity. After the door opens, fear becomes background noise, not gone, but powerless. Why your life cannot return to normal. This is important. Normal was based on waiting without direction, hoping without clarity, praying without movement, surviving instead of building. God says, once awareness is activated, normal is no longer possible. You can't unsee what you now recognize. You can't unknow what you now understand. You can't settle where you've outgrown. This is not loss. This is evolution. What God protects you from after the door opens. Many people fear exposure after transition. But God says, I do not open doors without releasing protection. After the knock, certain distractions lose access. Certain attacks lose intensity. Certain temptations lose appeal. Certain cycles break quietly. Not because you became stronger, but because authority shifted. Alignment creates covering. Why some people will no longer understand you expect this. Your language will change. Your patience will change. Your priorities will change. And some people will say, you're different. They're right. God says, transformation is visible even when it is quiet. Do not argue. Do not explain excessively. Do not seek validation. Those assigned to your next season will recognize you without explanation. What to do when momentum feels slow again? This is wisdom. Momentum does not always feel fast. Sometimes it feels steady. God says, do not confuse steadiness with stagnation. After the door opens, growth becomes layered. You're no longer being prepared. You're being positioned. Trust the pace. Honor the process. Stay responsive. Why gratitude becomes a key. Now, not gratitude for perfection, gratitude for direction. God says, gratitude keeps alignment open. When you thank God for clarity instead of comfort, you stay connected to purpose. This keeps doors opening, not closing. The version of you that is emerging, let's name it, you are becoming. More discerning, less reactive, more grounded, less fearful, more intentional. Not hardened, not distant, not cold, but anchored. God says, you are no longer waiting for life to happen. You are walking with purpose. What God is saying to you right now, before the knock arrives fully, before the door opens completely, God says, do not doubt this moment. Do not minimize it. Do not rationalize it away. Do not tell yourself it was just another message. If you felt the pause, it was real. If you felt the weight, it was intentional. If you felt the clarity, it was divine. This is your confirmation. You didn't imagine the shift. You didn't misread the season. You didn't hear wrong. God says, what you sensed was accurate, and what's coming is real. You are not late. You are not early. You are on time. Final word. Chosen one. When the knock comes, answer with trust. Not because you know everything, but because you know enough. God says, I will meet you on the other side of obedience. And once you step through, your life will not be the same.